please state your name?
Hey, what's up? My name is Jacques.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Do you have any children?
No.
No children. Any scares?
Um, Back in the days, I did. I was dating a girl. I was in my early 20s, and it was definitely a scare.
What happened?
Well, I got a personal story to share.
Please
Um,
do.
I was dating her, then we got separated. Then later on, she got back in contact with me, claiming she was pregnant, or saying she was pregnant. I just told her congratulations, but then she told me not only that, but I'm also the father of her child. But
Did you
hold on.
think you were the father? Or did you know it was a possibility?
Yeah, I know it's a possibility. I was the father, so I opted for a DNA test.
How did she take that?
At first, she was like, "Test is not needed. It's not mandatory. Why you can go that far with it?" But deep down, I knew something was off by her actions because she always about money now. Before she wasn't about money, but now she's all about money. This, money that. I need this. I need that. I need like 500 or 600 per month for one child. And this is like 20 years ago.
So what ended up happening?
I ended up getting the DNA test. It was court ordered, and child was not mine.
Wait a minute, let's back up. So how did it go from her saying you're the father to you getting the DNA? Was it difficult? Like, how did I know you said it was court ordered, but how did you get her to, like, did she put you on child support? Like, what happened?
No, I was never on child support. Luckily for me at the time, her and I were not married. We had broken up. We weren't even dating. But we had to go to the child support court, and the judge ordered for us to get the DNA test done. Because at the time, as long as you're not married, this was in New York, not Florida, but just New York. So at the time, we're not married, so DNA test was basically mandatory for us.
So the child was already born.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Who petitioned it? How did it get to court?
I had to get a family attorney, and the attorney assisted me in doing the petition for it.
Mm.
She kept on telling me, that that's not needed. It's not necessary. Her family told me I'm wasting time. I'm wasting money. It's not needed, but I knew something was off, like I said earlier. So I went through the process. I moved back to Florida, went to a DNA lab in Florida. She was in New York. She went to a DNA lab in New York. And then, of course, like I said, the results came back. I was cleared from it.
So what happened after you found out that you were not the father? Did she apologize to you? Did her family apologize? What happened after that?
No, there was no apology from her, her parents, her family, nothing at all whatsoever. I just cut off communications with her. I saw her cousin a few weeks after the DNA results came back. Her cousin apologized, but the time was already like too late
Mm.
for any of that.
How did you feel when the DNA test came back? Did you want the child to be yours, like one part of you, or you just knew like you didn't want anything to do with this woman or the child?
By the time the results came back, we were just kind of fed up with her family and the whole situation. I was prepared either way. If it was mine, I would have just taken care of my responsibility. But when the test came back, it's not mine. I was just like, hey, life goes on, and best of luck for her, and continue my future.
Mm. How do you feel about child support?
I think child support is good if the father's not involved in the child's life financially.
Mhm.
I think parents got to go to court and make some kind of adjustment. It can't just be on one parent to take care of the child, all their needs, wake up in the middle of the night, the financial instability. A lot of it has to be done with both parents.
Do you think that DNA testing should be mandatory at birth?
I think it should be mandatory if the couples are not married. If you're in a boyfriend girlfriend type situation or something casual, then I think DNA test should be mandatory. Establish without a doubt who the father is, so he knows his responsibility going forward, and also she could be held accountable. Like, hey, do your job, step up, or go to court. But on the flip side of that, I know a lot of girls sometimes use like, hey, we're not dating, so now you're in child support, or you moved on to another relationship, so now you're in support. That I'm totally against that part of it.
So you don't think DNA testing should be mandatory at birth if the couple is married?
Correct.
Okay. How about paternity fraud? Do you think that paternity fraud should be punishable by the law?
110% punish it all the way, because it's a lot of fraud out there. I've heard of stories where people are faking social security numbers, people are forging birth certificates, forging acknowledgement of paternity paperwork, and sometimes a father doesn't even know he's the father of the child. He's in another state or moved. You're getting subpoenaed for court, license suspended, sometimes even going to jail. And you have no knowledge of anything, even back pay. So it's a lot of fraud out there.
So you think it should be jail time, or you think it should be fines?
Probably a fine. I think jail's a little extreme for that, but I think more so a fine should be in place, because you can't have the child's mom in jail while the child's still there. It kind of like goes against it.
Okay. Why do you think men shy away from family court so much? Why do you think they don't fight for their children in court?
I think there's a stigma on family court. At least the time that I went there, the guys that were present, a lot of them were just upset. They figure, hey, I might have a woman judge, so I'm guaranteed to lose. Or they hear other stories from their friend, like, hey, you're going to lose in court. Even something for custody battle. A lot of guys don't fight for their child, like, hey, I want custody. I want to see my child more often. They think the system's set up against them. That's how I think.
So you feel like they already feel defeated?
Yeah, they feel defeated. Like I said, a lot of times they hear their friend's story, or they see something on TV or social media like, hey, I'll never win. In the long term, it'll hurt me, court costs, attorney's fees. But it's important to be involved in the child's life.
Back to your situation, do you feel like there's anything you would have done differently if you could? Like to avoid that whole situation?
I don't think my situation was avoidable, but the person you're dating with, you have to see like certain characteristics of the personality. A lot of things you could overlook because of a person's looks or certain superficial things about the person. A lot of red flags and certain things were popping up by the time I was very young and
What were some of the red flags?
um, some of the red flags were just a lot of more spending money than usual. Um, you know, yeah, of course, when you're dating, you go out to eat, you go out to parties, go to a club, whatever. That's typical. But once things become more about finances and want to see pay stubs, talks of getting a joint bank account together when you're not married, it's a lot of things that just like, hey, slow down. It's not making sense. So I think a lot of people always see that in a relationship, and your judgment gets cloudy. But lucky enough for me, my mother's able to guide me and tell me certain things about life, and I was able to just apply that knowledge and just get my situation.
Any advice that you would have for the younger generation coming up, to the young men, as to how to avoid getting into these certain types of situations?
Cool. I mean, my story is a cautionary tale. Now, as far as advice, just really take your time with life, especially when you're 20s and early 30s. Just really focus in on yourself and be the best version of yourself. Dating became a lot easier now. We got different apps, different way to meet people and hook up all the time. It's not as hard as before, but it's a lot of people wear masks, but you only wear a mask for so long, and again, you can see the hints of a person's character flaws. It's almost like looking at a painting on the wall. As you're far away from the painting, it's a flawless image, but as you get closer to the painting, you can see the cracks and like the imperfections of that picture. But if you don't take the time to walk up and approach it, and you're just standing back from a distance, you can never really get the full picture of it and understand what's going on until it's too late. Because there's a lot of fathers out there taking care of kids who aren't theirs, whether boyfriend or girlfriend, whether husband and wife. You might go to your grave never knowing that's not your child. You're gonna love that child, but it's better to know ahead of time.
Any last words? Anything I didn't bring up that you want to speak on?
Um, yeah, just like I said, just be the best version of yourself. I think a lot of times girls know who the father is, but they're pressured or they feel like they might put it on another guy who's their best opportunity. You know, there are some guys out there that's not as hip to the game or don't know what's going on exactly, or they might be considered a lame. So they figure, hey, I could catch this person. It's a trap. But you gotta become street smart at the same time and know what's going on between the real and the fake. So just be out there and just be the best version of yourself.
Thank you.
All right.